Story 1. I've been working at my family's pizzeria for about 3 years now. My parents opened this place when I was in high school, and after I finished community college with nowhere else to go, I just kinda stayed. It's not glamorous work, but it pays the bills, and I actually like making pizzas. There's something satisfying about the whole process, from stretching the dough to watching it come out of the oven perfectly golden. We're a small place, maybe 8 tables, and we do most of our business through takeout and delivery. The afternoon shift on Tuesdays is usually dead. That's when I prefer to work because it gives me time to prep ingredients and experiment with new recipes without the lunch or dinner rush breathing down my neck. My parents trust me enough now to handle the place solo during these quiet hours. I was in the back restocking tomato sauce when I heard the bell above the door chime. I wiped my hands on my apron and walked out front. Standing at the counter was a woman maybe in her mid-40s, dressed like she was about to attend a business meeting rather than grab a pizza. She was already on her phone, holding up one finger at me without looking up. I waited and waited. After what felt like 5 minutes, but was probably 2, she finally put her phone down. "Karen, I need a large pepperoni pizza." Me, "Sure thing. For here or to go?" Karen, "To go. But I need you to arrange the pepperoni in a circle pattern, like a mandala." I blinked at her. Me, "We usually just distribute them evenly across the pizza." Karen, "That's exactly the problem with society. Everything is so scattered and chaotic. I need circular arrangement. It's more empowering." Me, "Empowering." Karen, "Yes, the energy flow is completely different when ingredients are arranged with intention. I've dealt with weird requests before. Someone once asked for pickles on their pizza, which was disgusting, but whatever. This seemed harmless enough. Me, "I can do that. It'll be about 15 minutes. She nodded and went to sit at one of the tables, immediately back on her phone. I headed to the kitchen and started making her pizza. I stretched the dough, spread the sauce, added the cheese, and then carefully arranged the pepperoni slices in a circular pattern like she wanted. It actually looked kind of cool, almost artistic. I slid it into the oven and set the timer. 14 minutes later, I pulled out a perfectly cooked pizza with her pepperoni mandala intact. I boxed it up and brought it to the counter. Me, "One large pepperoni pizza." She walked over, opened the box right there at the counter, and stared at it for a solid 30 seconds. Karen, "This isn't right." Me, "That's the circular pattern you asked for." Karen, "The energy is all wrong. It's too passive. The pepperoni needs to spiral outward, not just sit in a circle. Circles are stagnant. Spirals represent growth and empowerment." I felt my jaw tighten. Me, "You asked for a circle." Karen, "I asked for something empowering. Does this look empowering to you?" Me, "It looks like a pizza." Karen, "Exactly. Make it again." Me, "I'm not making it again. You specifically said circular arrangement." Karen, "The customer is always right. I'm asking you to remake this pizza with a proper spiral pattern." Me, "That's going to be another pizza charge." Her face went red. Karen, "You expect me to pay twice because you got it wrong." Me, "I got it exactly how you ordered it." She stared at me for a long moment, then smiled in a way that made my stomach drop. Before I could react, she reached into the box with both hands and started rearranging the pepperoni slices with her fingers, moving them around the pizza into some kind of spiral pattern she had in her head. Me, "What are you doing?" Karen, "Fixing it myself since you clearly don't understand basic energy principles." She stepped back, hands covered in grease and sauce, looking satisfied with her work. Karen, "There. That's better." Me, "You just put your hands all over that pizza." Karen, and me, "And now it's contaminated. I can't sell that to anyone." Her smile got wider. Karen, "Exactly. So you need to make me a new one. For free. Since this one is contaminated and unsellable." I stared at her, finally understanding what she'd just done. Me, "You contaminated it on purpose." Karen, I contaminated it because you refused to make it correctly. That's on you, not me. Me, get out. Karen, excuse me. Me, get out of my pizzeria. You're not getting a free pizza. You're not getting any pizza. Leave. Karen, I'm a paying customer and I demand a proper pizza made correctly, or I'm calling the health department about your contamination protocols. Me, go ahead and call them. I pulled out my phone and opened the camera app, then pointed at the security camera above the counter that had recorded the entire interaction. Me, I've got you on video reaching into the pizza with your bare hands and contaminating it yourself. So please, call the health department. I'd love to show them the footage. Her face went from red to purple. Karen, you can't record me without my permission. Me, there's a sign on the door that says this premises is under video surveillance. You consented when you walked in. She looked like she wanted to argue more, but I could see the calculation happening behind her eyes. She'd been caught, and she knew it. Karen, this is discrimination. I'm going to leave reviews everywhere. I'll ruin you. Me, you're still here. She grabbed her purse and stormed toward the door, then turned back. Karen, you'll regret this. Me, I really don't think I will. She left, tires squealing in the parking lot as she drove away. I looked at the ruined pizza sitting on the counter, pepperoni now scattered in whatever pattern her greasy fingers had created, and tossed the whole thing in the trash. Then I spent 10 minutes sanitizing the entire counter area. My parents called me that evening because apparently she'd tried to leave a scathing review on 3 different platforms. Unfortunately for her, all 3 removed the reviews after I submitted the security footage showing exactly what happened. The local health inspector even stopped by the next week to check on us after someone filed an anonymous complaint. I showed him the video. He laughed for a solid minute, then told me we were completely in the right and to keep up the good work. We still get weird requests sometimes, but now I make sure to clarify exactly what people want before I start making their order. And if anyone asks for empowering pepperoni patterns, they're getting referred to the pizza place down the street. Story 2. I've been teaching 8th grade math for 7 years now. I chose middle school specifically because I like working with kids at that age, where they're starting to think more abstractly, but haven't completely lost their curiosity yet. Most days I love my job. Most days. Parent-teacher conferences always fall on the same week in October and March. We set up in the gymnasium with folding tables spaced far enough apart that conversations stay relatively private. Each conference is scheduled for 15 minutes, which is usually enough time to discuss grades, behavior, and answer any questions parents might have. I was 3 conferences into the evening when she arrived. She wasn't scheduled for another 20 minutes, but that didn't stop her from marching directly to my table while I was still talking to another parent about their daughter's improvement in algebra. She stood there, arms crossed, tapping her foot loudly enough that we could all hear it. The other parent glanced at her nervously and wrapped up our conversation quickly. Karen, finally. Me, you're early. Your conference isn't until 7:30. Karen, I don't care about your little schedule. We need to talk about this. She slammed a paper down on my table. It was her son's most recent test, a unit exam on linear equations. There was a big red 68 circled at the top. Me, yes, we can definitely discuss that. At 7:30 when your scheduled time begins. Karen, no, we're discussing it now. I looked around the gym. The other teachers were all occupied with their own conferences, and there was a line of parents waiting. Starting this conversation now would throw off everyone's entire evening. Me, if you'd like to discuss this properly, you need to wait for your scheduled time. Otherwise, we can schedule a phone call for later this week. Karen, my son is being academically oppressed and you want me to wait. Me, your son scored a 68 on his test because he got several problems wrong. That's not oppression, that's math. Karen, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You're grading him on some arbitrary standard that doesn't take into account who he is as a person. Me, I'm grading him on whether he solved the equations correctly. Karen, but grades should reflect personality. My son is creative and kind and thoughtful, and none of that is represented in this number. Several nearby parents had stopped their own conversations and were watching now. Math assessments measure mathematical understanding. If you want to discuss his creativity, we can talk about encouraging him to join art club or theater. Karen, you're missing the point. You're reducing my brilliant child to a number. Do you know how damaging that is to his self-esteem? What's damaging is telling him he should pass a test he didn't study for because of his personality. Her face went red. Karen, he did study. He studied for hours. I pulled out my grade book and opened it to her son's page. He's missing 4 homework assignments from this unit. Homework is practice. If he's not doing the practice, studying the night before the test isn't going to be enough. Karen, maybe your homework is boring. Did you ever think of that? Maybe if you made math more engaging, he'd actually want to do it. The homework is solving equations, which is what the test covers. I can't make it more engaging than teaching him the skills he needs. Karen, yes you can. You can make it emotional. You can make it relevant to his life. Word problems are relevant to real life. He had several questions about calculating costs and distances. Karen, that's not emotional enough. Math should connect to feelings. It should be about self-expression. I took a breath and tried to keep my voice level. Math is an objective subject. 2 + 2 = 4 regardless of how anyone feels about it. I can't give your son a passing grade because he has a nice personality. That's not how education works. Karen, then you're doing education wrong. She was shouting now. The entire gymnasium had gone quiet. Karen, you're all doing it wrong. You're crushing these children's spirits with your oppressive number systems and your rigid thinking. My son deserves better than this. He deserves to be seen for who he really is. He's being seen as a student who didn't complete his assignments and didn't demonstrate understanding of the material on his test. Karen, this is discrimination. I'm going to the school board. I'm going to the superintendent. I'm going to make sure everyone knows how you're oppressing students with your fascist approach to mathematics. One of the security guards who'd been stationed at the entrance started walking over. You need to lower your voice or leave. Karen, I will not lower my voice. Someone needs to hear the truth about what's happening in these classrooms. You're destroying children. You're teaching them that their worth is based on numbers instead of their beautiful souls. Security guard, ma'am, I'm going to need you to calm down. Karen, don't you dare tell me to calm down. I'm a mother advocating for my child. Security guard, you're disrupting everyone else's conferences. Either sit down and wait quietly for your scheduled time, or you need to leave. Karen, I'm not going anywhere until she agrees to change this grade. I'm not changing the grade. Karen, then I'm not leaving. The security guard, who I recognized as someone who'd worked at the school for years, gently took her elbow. Security guard, let's go outside and talk about this. Karen, get your hands off me. This is assault. I'm being assaulted for defending my child. She tried to pull away, but the guard kept his grip firm and professional. A second guard appeared from somewhere, and they began walking her toward the exit. Karen, you're all going to regret this. I'm calling my lawyer. I'm calling the news. Everyone is going to know about the academic oppression happening at this school. Her voice echoed through the gym as they escorted her out the doors. The sound of her shouting continued for another minute from the parking lot before finally fading away. The gymnasium stayed silent for a few seconds. Then one of the dads in line started clapping slowly. A few others joined in. I felt my face get hot. Other parent, I wish I could give you more than an A+ for that. There were a few laughs, and gradually conversations resumed around the gym. The principal found me after conferences ended. Principal, I saw the whole thing. Do you want to file a report? I just want to document it in case she actually follows through on any of those threats. Principal, already done. And for what it's worth, You handled that perfectly." The next day, her son came to class looking mortified. He didn't make eye contact with me the entire period. After class, he approached my desk. Her son, "I'm sorry about my mom. She gets really intense sometimes." Me, "It's not your fault. But you do need to start turning in your homework." Her son, "I know. I will. I promise." He did turn in his homework after that. All of it. He came in for extra help twice, and on the next test he scored an 86. I wrote a note on the top congratulating him on his improvement. His mother never showed up to another parent-teacher conference. She started sending his father instead, who was quiet and apologetic and actually interested in discussing his son's progress. I heard through the administrative grapevine that she tried to file complaints with the school board, the district office, and the State Department of Education. All of them apparently told her the same thing. A student who gets problems wrong receives a lower grade. And that's not oppression, that's just math. Story 3. I'd been working at the juice bar for about 6 months when this happened. The place was in a strip mall between a yoga studio and a pet store, so we got a pretty mixed crowd. Mostly normal people grabbing smoothies after their workout or between errands. I thought I'd dealt with every type of weird customer by then. The guy who insisted we put protein powder in his kid's juice. The woman who wanted us to remake her drink 3 times because the color wasn't right. But nothing prepared me for what walked through the door that Thursday afternoon. It was slow, just me and my coworker behind the counter. We were wiping down the blenders when she came in. Middle-aged woman in expensive athleisure wear, the kind that looked like it had never actually seen a gym. She ordered a strawberry smoothie, extra ice, no added sugar. Standard order. I made it exactly like I always did, snapped the lid on, and handed it over. She stood there at the counter, holding the cup up to her face and staring at it. Me, "Is everything okay?" "Karen, this smoothie is staring at me funny." I looked at my coworker. He looked at me. We both looked at her. Me, "I'm sorry." "What?" Karen, through the lid, "It's staring at me. The energy is all wrong." Me, "Ma'am, it's a smoothie." Karen, "I know what it is. I can feel it judging me." My coworker let out a small laugh. He tried to cover it with a cough, but it was too late. She heard it. Karen, "Excuse me, did you just laugh at me?" Coworker, "No, I had something in my throat." Karen, "You think this is funny? You think my concerns are a joke?" Me, "Nobody's laughing at you. Your smoothie is fine. I made it myself." Karen, "The smoothie is not fine. It has hostile energy, and now your employee is mocking me. Do you know what that is? That's customer abuse." Me, "Sir, he didn't mean anything by it." Karen, "Mockery is customer abuse. I came here for a peaceful beverage experience, and instead I'm being attacked by negative vibrations and workplace harassment." She was getting louder with every word. A couple at one of the tables turned to watch. This was getting out of hand fast. Me, "I can remake your smoothie if you'd like." Karen, "Oh, you'd like that, wouldn't you? Make another one so it can judge me too?" "I don't think so." She looked around the counter, and her eyes landed on our tip jar. It was one of those big glass jars, half full of bills and coins from the morning rush. Before either of us could react, she lifted the smoothie and dumped the entire thing into the jar. Karen, "There, now we're balancing the karma. You put bad energy into the universe, you get it back." The smoothie splashed everywhere. Pink liquid filled the jar and overflowed onto the counter. Bills floated in strawberry sludge. Coins disappeared under the pink mess. And then the jar just shattered. The weight of the liquid combined with the impact of her slamming it back down was too much. Glass exploded across the counter, and smoothie went flying in every direction. It splashed onto the register. It dripped down the front of the counter. It got all over my shirt and my coworker's apron. The bills that had been in the jar were now soaked and scattered across the floor with broken glass and pink juice everywhere. Karen jumped back, holding her hands up like she'd just witnessed a miracle. Karen, see? See what happens. The negativity is contagious. Your bad karma just exploded into physical form. This is what you get for mocking customers. Me, you just destroyed our tip jar. Karen, I didn't do anything. The universe did this. This is a sign that you need to change your ways. My coworker grabbed his phone and started recording. She noticed immediately. Karen, what are you doing? Coworker, making sure we have evidence when the police get here. Her whole attitude changed in a second. The righteous anger drained right out of her face. Karen, police, there's no need for that. This was just a misunderstanding. Me, a misunderstanding? You dumped a smoothie into our tip jar and broke it. There's glass and juice everywhere. Karen, that jar was clearly defective. This isn't my fault. The manager came out from the back office. She must have heard the glass breaking. Manager, what's going on out here? Me, she dumped her smoothie in our tip jar and it broke. Manager looked at the mess, then at Karen, then back at the mess. Manager, is this true? Karen, your employees were being hostile. I was defending myself. Manager, by dumping a drink into a tip jar. Karen, it was about balancing the energy. They wouldn't understand. They're too negative. Manager, get out. Karen, what? Manager, get out of my store. Now. And you're paying for the jar and the lost tips. Karen, I will not. This is discrimination. Manager, the camera behind you caught everything. You can pay now or explain it to the cops when they get here. Your choice. Karen looked up at the security camera, then back at my manager. She dug into her purse and threw two $20 bills onto the wet counter. Karen, this place is toxic anyway. I'm reporting you to the health department. She stormed out, nearly slipping on smoothie that had dripped onto the floor. We watched her peel out of the parking lot through the window. Manager, everyone okay? Me, yeah, just covered in smoothie. Manager, go clean up. I'll handle this mess. We spent the next hour picking glass out of smoothie puddles and trying to salvage the tips that weren't completely soaked. We got maybe half of it. The rest was too destroyed to keep. My manager called the non-emergency line and filed a report just in case she actually did try to cause trouble. We gave them the security footage. Never heard anything about it again. The best part, she left a 1-star review online claiming we assaulted her with aggressive beverage energy. My manager responded with the security footage. The review got taken down within a day. We got a new tip jar the next week. Plastic this time. Story 4. I used to work at a fast food place off the highway, one of those spots that got slammed during lunch rushes. I'd been there about 8 months when this happened, long enough to handle pretty much anything customers threw at me. I thought I'd seen it all. Drunk people at 2 in the morning, folks who forgot their wallets, even someone who tried to return a burger they bought 3 days ago. But this woman took it to a whole new level. It was a Tuesday afternoon, right in the middle of the after-lunch lull. My coworker was in the back restocking supplies, so I was manning the drive-through solo. The speaker crackled to life. Karen, I need a large soda, a double cheeseburger, and fries. Me, sure thing. That'll be $8.45 at the first window. She pulled up in this massive SUV that looked like it cost more than I made in a year. I handed her the bag and drink through the window. Karen, where's my straw? Me, it's in the bag. She dug around and pulled out the paper straws, holding it up like I just handed her a dead rat. Karen, what is this? Me, that's your straw. Karen, this is paper. I asked for a straw, not some tree branch. Me, we switched to paper straws a few months ago. Company policy. Her face started turning red. I could see the anger building up like a kettle about to whistle. Karen, you're forcing me into environmental activism. I didn't sign up for this liberal agenda when I ordered a soda. Me, ma'am, it's just a straw. It works the same way. Karen, it does not work the same way. These things get soggy, they fall apart. This is discrimination against people who just want to enjoy their beverages. I didn't know what to say to that. I mean, how do you respond when someone claims straw-based discrimination? Me, I'm sorry you're upset, but all our straws are paper now. If you'd like, you can drink it without a straw. That's when she completely lost it. She grabbed the straw and hurled it at the menu board beside my window. The thing bounced off the speaker, and suddenly there was this awful feedback screech followed by total silence. The speaker was dead. My manager heard the noise and came rushing out from the back. Manager, what happened? Me, the speaker just cut out. Karen leaned out her window, apparently not done with her tantrum. Karen, good. Maybe now you'll take me seriously. I have been traumatized by this interaction. Your employee's refusal to provide proper service has caused me severe emotional distress. Manager, ma'am, what seems to be the problem? Karen, your worker here gave me a paper straw, and when I rightfully complained, the stress of the situation made me react. And now I've suffered voice trauma from all this yelling. My manager looked at me, then at her, then back at me. I could see him trying to process what he just heard. Karen, yes, I've been screaming because of your poor service, and now my throat hurts. I demand compensation. Manager, ma'am, we gave you a paper straw because that's our current policy. You threw it at our equipment and broke our speaker system. Karen, I wouldn't have thrown anything if you'd just given me a normal straw. This is your fault. I want a refund, free meals for a month, and payment for any medical bills related to my throat injury. Manager, I'm not giving you any of that. You damaged our property. I could call the police if you'd like. The mention of police changed her tune real quick. Her eyes went wide. Karen, you wouldn't dare. I'm a paying customer. Manager, a paying customer who just broke our drive-through speaker. That's going to cost about $300 to replace. Karen, that's not. You can't prove I did that on purpose. Manager, we have cameras, audio and video. I can pull up the footage right now if you want. She sat there for a second, and I could practically see the wheels turning in her head as she realized she'd screwed up. Karen, fine. I don't need this kind of treatment anyway. I'm reporting you to corporate. Manager, go ahead. Make sure to mention the part where you threw something at our equipment. She peeled out of the drive-through so fast her tires squealed. My manager turned to me. Manager, you okay? Me, yeah, that was insane. Manager, go take your break. I'll call maintenance about the speaker. The best part came 2 weeks later. My manager called me into his office with this huge grin on his face. Manager, remember that woman who freaked out about the straw? Me, how could I forget? Manager, she actually did report us to corporate, and they watched the camera footage. Me and? Manager, they banned her from all franchise locations in the state. Sent her a bill for the speaker repair too. Me, no way. Manager, corporate said they're tired of people abusing workers over policy changes. They used her complaint as an example in some new training video about what not to do. I never saw her again after that day. Sometimes I wonder if she ever got that $300 bill, or if she's still out there somewhere, terrorizing other fast food workers about straws. But at least she wasn't our problem anymore. The speaker got fixed 3 days later. We kept using paper straws. Most people didn't even care. Turns out the whole environmental activism thing wasn't as big a deal as she made it out to be.